It is funny to watch how people with higher education voluntarily sit in a chair to be legally gutted to soothing C major music. You down free whiskey worth $500 and genuinely believe in your luck, hypnotizing the statistics on the roulette board. But luck does not exist. A casino is not a temple of excitement, but a high-tech milking farm. While you enthusiastically scream almost matched, a microchip simply injects you with dopamine, masking a mathematical robbery. Placebos instead of a stop button, memoryless balls, and crooked mazes of halls where even an ugly carpet is designed to zero out your credit card. Today we dissect this mechanism, 33 cynical algorithms through which the industry daily converts your hope into its marble halls. Hide your lucky charms. We are starting. Fact 1. Your brain is a cheap Chinese string light that short-circuits from any bright flash in the so-called illusion of winning. You casually sit in a chair, feed the machine $1, press the button, and freeze in expectation of a miracle. The machine explodes with victorious music. The screen blazes with all the colors of the rainbow like the finale of a Marvel movie, and pompously spits out 50 cents. Mathematically, you have just lost exactly half of your investment, and any adequate accountant would cry at this moment. But your body reacts differently. A burst of dopamine floods your cerebral cortex. You feel the euphoria of a winner because the visuals and sounds scream of triumph. We are trained like Pavlov's famous dogs, forced to rejoice that we have just been elegantly robbed. Slot manufacturers understood a brilliant thing. Why give people real money when you can just stroke their ego with pixel fireworks? You celebrate financial degradation to a cheerful ringing. Good luck explaining that to your bank account. Fact 2. Proximity to victory is just a mathematical mirage known as virtual asymmetry. Imagine you are putting together a puzzle, but the box initially lacks the main piece. On the first reel of the slot, the programmers generously scattered 4 jackpot symbols. On the second, they left 3, and on the third, only 1 single symbol. You spin the reel, the first 2 predictably match, your heart drops. You're already mentally buying a yacht. And the third reel treacherously shows a cherry. You punch your knee and yell, "I was so close, just a little bit more." Did you really believe that? The chances of matching the third symbol were practically non-existent from the very beginning. It is an artificially created deficit. The picture folds in such a way that you feel like a Hollywood action hero who cut the wrong wire a second before the explosion. This trick forces us to throw even more bills into the machine's mouth, firmly believing that luck is walking somewhere nearby. But it is not nearby, it is in another universe altogether. Thus the donkey runs after the carrot tied to its own forehead. Fact 3. Software code loves to tease your greed through planned near misses. Algorithms are legally and absolutely unpunishably tuned so that the coveted 7, or pot of gold, stops exactly 1 millimeter above or below the pay line, much more often than the laws of physics and blind chance suggest. It is similar to a situation where you are running after a departing train, touching the carriage door with your fingertips, but it closes right in front of your nose. Your brain boils with indignation and the effect of unfinished action. If the machine just showed an empty screen, we would spit and leave in 5 minutes. But this mocking proximity to wealth forces the prefrontal cortex to turn off logic and go berserk. We are sure the machine is about to surrender under our pressure. If aliens saw how we stare for hours at a screen where pictures intentionally miss the line, they would declare us the dumbest species in the galaxy. Keep feeding this pixel troll. Fact 4. The drum stop button has as much power over reality as a TV remote without batteries. You sit with a tense face, your fingers hovering over the plastic panel, waiting for the perfect moment to press stop, like a sniper in ambush. A surprise for control freaks. The outcome of your bet is decided by a random number generator a millisecond before the reels even started visually spinning. What you see on the screen is just a beautifully drawn cartoon delaying the inevitable. This button is a pure placebo, a dummy created to give us a false sense of steering our own destiny. People inherently hate being helpless, so the industry graciously handed us a toy steering wheel, like in those kiddie rides at an amusement park. You furiously turn the wheel, honk the horn, but the carousel still goes strictly in a circle. Your illusion of control costs a lot. You might as well try to stop the rain with the power of thought. Fact 5. Your comfort zone sounds in the key of C major, and this is a matrix of acoustic wheel suppression. 90% of all sound effects in modern slot machines are written exactly in this major chord. Why not in minor? Because science proved long ago that C major is a universal frequency of coziness, safety, and childhood joy. This is the music of Disney fairy tales and morning shows. When we lose money, our body should experience stress and release cortisol, signaling danger. But this damn C major works as an acoustic anesthesia. It physically suppresses anxiety, wrapping the brain in a warm blanket of comfort. We fall into a light, hypnotic trance where financial loss seems not a tragedy, but just an amusing part of the process. It is as if a surgeon is cutting you without anesthesia, but telling hilarious jokes at the same time. You bleed money, but you feel so pleasant and calm that you want to continue. Congratulations, you just had a musical lobotomy. Fact 6. The physical wheel of the machine is just a hologram for naive natives, covering up the virtual reels. You look at the spinning cylinder and count the pictures. Here are 22 symbols, which means the chance of pulling the right one is quite tangible. Sounds like a fair deal? Wake up. Inside the machine's microchip spins an invisible virtual reel on which 256 positions are written. The program takes a real miserable chance of winning, say, 1 in millions, and projects it onto the physical wheel so that visually it seems to you that the chance is 1 to 22. This is a brilliant mathematical dirty trick. We are sold binoculars in which diamonds seem close, although they are on another planet. If realtors sold apartments like this showing a palace but documenting a doghouse, they would have been jailed long ago. But here it is, the legal magic of illusionists in sharp suits. You are trying to beat a calculator with faith in miracles. Fact 7. The ergonomics of the chair and the aerodynamics of the machine turn you into a vegetable with a credit card, placing you in the so-called zone. Modern devices stopped being just boxes with a screen a long time ago. Now they are futuristic capsules. Huge curved monitors physically block your peripheral vision, cutting off the rest of the world, people walking by, and the change of time of day. Speakers are built right into the headrest of the vibrating chair, creating a vacuum bubble where only you and the algorithm exist. The goal of this furniture is to plunge us into a trance state where time, hunger, and common sense disappear. You are like Neo connected to the Matrix, only instead of saving humanity, you feed a corporate monster with your savings. The chair hugs you as softly and persistently as a boa constrictor hugs its prey before swallowing. This is not caring about your comfort. This is fixing the patient before organ extraction. A great boarding for a flight to the bottom of the debt pit. Fact 8. The digital heart of the devil beats thousands of times a second, even when the hall is absolutely empty, because the non-stop random number generator knows no fatigue. Many think the machine only starts thinking the moment a coin drops into it. What a sweet, touching naivety. The processor inside the machine runs through hundreds of thousands of combinations continuously, day and night, every fraction of a second. Your hypothetical win depends solely on the exact microsecond your finger touched the spin button. Press a moment earlier or later, and the result would be completely different. This completely destroys any theories about cold and hot machines, about the machine owing you money right now. It owes you nothing, it lives in its quantum madness. Trying to time the moment is the same as trying to catch a bullet with your teeth blindfolded. You are simply sponsoring mathematical infinity. Fact 9. The clinking of coins remained only in old movies with Robert De Niro, because the ticket system instead of cash hacked our psyche. Machines used to loudly spit iron dollars into a metal tray, and this weight in the hands gave the feeling of real money. Now the machine silently spits out a small rectangular piece of paper with a barcode. And you know what? Our caveman brain categorically refuses to perceive this toilet paper as real capital. We treat a piece of paper with numbers like a candy wrapper, like points in a video game. It is 10 times easier to part with a ticket. It is not a pity to shove it into the next machine just out of curiosity. We have been deprived of physical contact with our own resources, turning them into an abstraction. If we were paid our salaries with such checks, we would die of hunger in the first month. This is pure financial anesthesia before amputating the wallet. Rejoice in your expensive cardboard. Fact 10. The air around you is soaked in the smell of legalized robbery, and this is called aroma marketing. Have you ever noticed how strangely pleasant it smells in the slot area? It is not the perfume of rich neighbors. Through hidden ventilation systems, special aromatic blends are pumped into the hall, mostly with subtle floral or citrus notes. Researchers in Las Vegas laboratories proved a frightening fact long ago. The right smell in the room relaxes the nervous system and increases the spending of players by an incredible 45%. We are manipulated through our sense of smell like lab mice in a maze where a piece of cheese has been placed. We inhale this synthetic ecstasy and voluntarily give away our hard-earned money, feeling light and at ease. If muggers in dark alleys figured out how to spray lavender before an attack, victims would hand over their watches with a smile. You literally breathe in losses. Breathe deeper, the meter is running. Terrorists. Fact 11. A fair return of 98% is the most elegant lie in mathematics, known as the high volatility trap. The machine proudly displays a sign promising an almost total refund. And we think, oh, this is safe. I will lose almost nothing. In reality, everything is much more cynical. This statistic is calculated over a distance of 1,000,000 spins. The machine really will give back those 98%, but it will do so in the form of one giant jackpot for a random lucky guy. And before that, it will zero out hundreds of credit cards of smart guys like us. It is programmed for rare but massive payouts, devouring everything in its path in between. We act as free sponsors for someone else's celebration of life, naively believing in the fairness of percentages. It is as if you were told that the average temperature in the hospital is 98.6, but they forgot to mention that half the patients are in a fever and the other half are in the morgue. Excellent statistics. You are just in the wrong half. What, already feeling your palms sweat while your inner fan of easy money nervously swallows? Wait to burn your loyalty club cards and call an exorcist. We are just warming up. Did you think slots were the worst thing that could happen to you? I hasten to disappoint you. We move to the tables where intelligent people in jackets voluntarily part with their apartments. Fact 12. The electronic statistics board above the roulette is a legal trap created exclusively for idiots who believe in magic. Above each table hangs a glowing screen, helpfully showing the last 20 rolled numbers. You see that red hit 10 times in a row. Your brain starts screaming. The law of probability demands black. Bet everything on black. But the ivory ball has no memory. It absolutely does not care about history. It has no notepad where it writes down its past falls. The chance for black on the 11th time is exactly the same. But this glowing board forces us to look for patterns in pure chaos, provoking us to make giant bets. We look for a secret cipher where there is only a piece of plastic and the laws of physics. Congratulations, you were outplayed by an LED sign. Fact 13. The extra green sector on the wheel, known as the 000, is a tax on your boundless stupidity. Historically, roulette had 1 0, then the Americans added a second, and now casinos around the world brazenly introduce tables with 3 green zeros. The house edge then skyrockets to an insane 7.69%. This is no longer a game of chance. This is an official robbery in broad daylight with musical accompaniment. But crowds of tourists, like zombies from The Walking Dead, happily sit at these tables simply because the minimum bets are slightly lower there. It seems to us that we are saving money by playing small, but in fact, we are ground up in a mathematical meat grinder at a maximum speed. It is like buying sausage on sale, knowing that it is a third cardboard and rejoicing at a great deal. Your stinginess costs you the most. Fact 14. Multicolored plastic erases the line between adulthood and a children's sandbox, thanks to the individual colors of the chips. When you sit down at the roulette table, the dealer takes your boring gray bills and gives you a mountain of chips of your personal, unique color, which do not even have a denomination written on them. Yellow, pink, blue circles. our psyche instantly degrades to the age of 5. We stop seeing them as the equivalent of our salary or mortgage payment. They're just fun-colored buttons that are so amusing to pour over the green cloth of the table. Throwing them in stacks is not scary at all. If you had to place real crumpled banknotes with the faces of presidents on the numbers, you would shake over every bet. But colored plastic turns off the financial instinct of self-preservation more reliably than any hypnosis. We play Monopoly with real fates, a wonderful trick with dressing up reality. Fact 15. The romance of old card sharps shattered against modern technology because now laser curvature control rules the ball. In the old days, legendary players walked the halls looking for old roulettes with microscopic bearing wear, calculated where the ball dropped more often due to the tilt of the axis, and hit the jackpot. You can forget these beautiful stories from movies about brilliant scammers. Today, the wheels are equipped with hidden laser scanners and sensors, and the administration daily tests the equipment for absolutely perfect centering. Any deviation of a fraction of a millimeter is recorded by a computer, and the table is immediately removed for calibration. You are trying to find a weak spot in a system that diagnoses itself better than a space shuttle before launch. Looking for wear on a modern roulette is like looking for a conscience in a tax inspector. 0 chances, but the enthusiasm is amazing. Fact 16. A bet on 5 numbers in American roulette is a public confession of your own financial illiteracy and the worst bet in the world. When you bet chips simultaneously on 0, 00, 1, 2, and 3, the mathematical house edge jumps to an astronomical 7.89%. This is absolute distilled garbage, a black hole on the gaming table. The dealers know the formulas perfectly. They see you committing an act of financial harakiri, but their faces remain as expressionless as Buckingham Palace guards. No one will ever take your hand and whisper, "Buddy, do not do this. You look like an idiot. Your right to make a mistake is sacred here because your mistake pays for their electricity." Making such a bet is like voluntarily paying an extra tip to an ATM that just ate your card. A brilliant move by a mastermind. Fact 17. The low rims of the pockets turn the ball into a drunk grasshopper, destroying the last remnants of hope for professionals. Once, the partitions between the numbers on the roulette wheel were made high, and the ball, falling, immediately stayed in place. Masters of visual ballistics could train their eyes and predict the drop sector with frightening accuracy. How did the industry respond? It did not ban people from looking, it simply made the rims of the pockets incredibly low and sloping in the shape of shallow saucers. Now the heavy Teflon ball bounces around the wheel chaotically, ricocheting off the partitions until the last second, changing its trajectory dozens of times. All your brilliant physics and eye training fly into the trash can because calculating this Brownian dance is impossible even with a supercomputer. We are left with the illusion of observing the process, cutting off any possibility of prediction. You are trying to guess the logic in the flight of a rabid fly. Fact 18. The rule of counter-rotation breaks any attempt to predict the future on a physical level. To eliminate even a microscopic chance that someone could catch the dealer's rhythm, the rules force the croupier to perform actions that contradict the laws of intuition. The dealer is obliged to spin the heavy wheel in one direction and launch the ball strictly along the rim in the opposite direction. Moreover, they are specially trained to change the strength and speed of the throw every time. Today he throws softly, tomorrow with the aggression of a lumberjack. This creates a perfect, irreproducible generator of chaos in the analog world. We stand and stare at this process, trying to catch a rhythm that simply does not exist in nature. It is like trying to predict the weather on Mars by looking at coffee grounds. Your overconfidence crashes against the harsh standards of mechanical madness. Great training for developing an inferiority complex. Fact 19. The illusion of equal chances costs us too much because the difference of 2.7% built sparkling empires in the Nevada desert. You bet a chip on red, and your brain, ruined by the school curriculum, automatically assumes that the chance of winning is 50%. Black or red, heads or tails. The cruel truth is that because of the green zero sector, your real chance is a measly 47.3%. This tiny difference seems to us a completely insignificant error, something like the change in a supermarket that is not a pity to leave for the cashier. But it is exactly on this microscopic mathematical abyss that mega resorts are built, the golden toilets of the owners are paid for, and private islands are bought. We voluntarily pay this tax on optimism with every spin of the wheel. You sponsor someone else's luxury because of an F in probability theory. Fact 20. The artificially slowed down pace provokes you into voluntarily emptying your pockets out of greed. Have you ever wondered why roulette is an intentionally slow, theatrical game? The dealer unhurriedly accepts bets, makes graceful waves with his hands, spins the wheel, and then there is a long, agonizing pause. This delay between the bet, the spin, and the payout was created by brilliant psychologists, not for the sake of aesthetics. This time is needed so that your neighbor wins and you have time to regret that you did not bet more. The pause accelerates adrenaline and grows a sense of missed opportunities in you. By the time of the next spin, you are ready to throw 3 times as much on the cloth just to compensate for your fantasies about how it could have been. We are marinated in our own anticipation like meat before roasting. The slow death of a wallet looks so aristocratic. Fact 21. The sleight of hand of the dealer when sorting a stack visually devalues your triumph. Imagine, luck smiled, and your bet won. The croupier slides a tower of chips toward you. You feel like the king of the world. But there is one dirty secret. The staff is strictly trained to collect the winnings so that the chips of the highest denomination always, under any circumstances, lie at the very bottom of this plastic pyramid, hidden from your eyes under a layer of cheap small change. Visually, your win seems modest, a gray mass of small bets. Your brain does not register a large catch, and you're absolutely not afraid to throw this whole stack back into the game for the next round. If they put the large denominations on top, you would grab them and run to the cashier in a panic attack. But this way, you just shift bricks in the wall of your financial collapse. Sleight of hand and no fraud, just a mockery of visual perception. Fact 22. Someone else's success is contagious as the medieval plague, and just as deadly for your balance due to the fear of missing out. Rules oblige the croupier to remove the chips of the losers far from immediately. You stand at the table and see with your own eyes how a random guy next to you hit a giant jackpot on the number 17. There is a mountain of his money on the table. At this moment, your logic leaves the chat and your brain starts screaming frantically, "I was also thinking of betting on 17. I knew it. It was a sign from the universe." In the next round, you are covered by the fever of missed profit, and you start making absolutely irrational bets, copying someone else's moves or trying to guess a new magical sector. Someone else's victory works as a billboard calling on you to part with the remnants of your logic. You pay for someone else's luck with your real nerves. The epidemic of stupidity is transmitted by airborne droplets right at the green felt. Think the worst is over and we have dismantled all the mechanisms of this trap for primates? Congratulations on your iron endurance. You survived the psychological pressure of the tables, but we are just getting to the architecture of your downfall. The walls and corridors here also want to eat. Fact 23. The floor plan of a casino is a projection of the digestive tract of a giant predator, known as the maze design. Machines and tables used to be placed in straight army rows, like in a barracks. Today these are curved lines, winding paths, roundabouts, and a complete absence of right angles. Your goal, according to the architects, is to get lost. You walk toward the exit, but the path smoothly bends around a glowing slot machine, then leads to roulette, then to the bar. This is called the playground concept, where every turn offers a new shiny toy. We wander through this carpeted forest like Little Red Riding Hood, forgetting where we were even going, and leaving pieces of our budget at every step. Walking out of here in a straight line is impossible. The laws of geometry are cancelled here for the sake of super profits. We are just plankton in the stomach of a concrete whale. Fact 24. Sound insulation works selectively, like censorship in a totalitarian state, creating perfect acoustic deception. Notice the strange silence in certain frequencies. Thick carpets on the floor and specially designed low ceilings made of sound-absorbing materials instantly eat up all negative sounds. Sighs of disappointment, cursing of losers, banging of fists on the table, all this drowns in an acoustic swamp at a distance of 2 meters. But the slot machines are software-tuned so that the sirens of winning and the clinking of virtual coins cut through the space for the entire huge hall. As a result, your brain forms a persistent and thoroughly false illusion. Everyone around you is winning, the party never stops, and you alone sit there as a loser. This social pressure forces you to bet again and again to join this fictional army of winners. A symphony of someone else's success is broadcast into your ears. An Oscar for the best sound editing of your reality. Fact 25. Floor coverings are specially designed by blind sadists to torture your eyes with carpets that cause anxiety. Have you ever looked at your feet in a gaming hall? These carpets look as if an artist vomited paint after a ride on an acid carousel. They are incredibly colorful, with chaotic psychedelic patterns, screaming colors, and a complete lack of harmony. Do you think the designers have no taste? Think again. The brain finds it physically unpleasant to look at this visual garbage. It causes subconscious anxiety and ripples in the eyes. The only way to get rid of the discomfort is to automatically raise your gaze from the floor. And what is at eye level? Right? Bright, alluring, aesthetically perfect slot machine screens. The carpet literally pushes your attention into the arms of the machines, the way an aggressive dog drives sheep into a pen. We are controlled even through the soles of our shoes. Brilliant architectural insolence. Fact 26. The rhythm of the background music controls your nervous system like a puppeteer pulling a marionette's strings, sorting you by tempo. If you come to the hall in the morning, you will hear calm lounge, light jazz, music that says, relax, drink coffee, spend money slowly and with taste. But try listening to the background closer to the night. The rhythm imperceptibly speeds up, turning into an energetic beat at a speed of about 120 beats per minute. Laboratory studies show frightening results. Under a fast tempo, a person's pulse quickens, players start placing bets faster, their decisions become impulsive, aggressive, and mindless. The music physically forces you to press buttons at double speed, turning you into a conveyor for recycling cash into ashes. We are trained with acoustic whips, forced to quicken our pace on the path to bankruptcy. A disco where only your wallet is dancing. Fact 27. The path to the toilet is paved with the greediest algorithms in the building, and this is a cruel trap by the restrooms. There is an unspoken rule in the industry for placing machines by payout level. The stingiest slots, set to the worst return percentage, never stand in the center of the room. They are always installed in forced waiting areas, near elevators, by buffets, at registration desks, and of course on the approaches to the toilets. Why? Because there are people standing there who are bored. You wait while your wife powders her nose or while a friend finishes his steak. You have loose change jingling in your pocket, and out of boredom you throw it into the nearest slot, not intending to play seriously. The casino knows this. They do not need to lure you with a good payout in these zones. You're already trapped in your waiting. They just shake the spare change out of you upon parting, like bullies in a school hallway. Your boredom is their pure profit. Fact 28. The myth about the oxygen supposedly pumped into the halls to keep us awake was invented by the same people who believe in tinfoil hats. An urban legend says that pure oxygen is run through the ventilation for vigor. This is complete nonsense. First, it is absolutely illegal. Second, pure oxygen in a room where people smoke or where there is a lot of electronics would turn the building into a giant incendiary bomb ready to blow up from a single spark. In reality, the secret of vigor is banally simple. They use incredibly powerful industrial air conditioners, maintaining a slightly cool, uncomfortable temperature. The cold air keeps the body in physiological tone, not allowing the blood vessels to relax, and you simply cannot fall asleep in such a microclimate. They freeze you like dumplings in a supermarket to preserve the shelf life of your solvency. No magic, just the harsh laws of thermodynamics against your sleep. Fact 29. Hidden cash desks turn the road for your money into a quest to diffuse your own weaknesses. When you finally decide you have had enough and want to exchange your chips back for crisp bills, an unpleasant surprise awaits you. Exchange booths are never located near the exit. They are always hidden in the deepest, most remote corners of the building, camouflaged as if they hand out state secrets there. To get to the cash desk, you will have to make a long journey through the densest maze of temptations, past screaming jackpots and tables where someone just hit the big one. Statistics are ruthless. A massive third of players heading to the cash desk simply do not bring their chips to the window. They break down along the way, decide to play one more time for the road, and leave everything. You're trying to carry a piece of cheese through a mouse hole. Good luck in this hopeless mission. Fact 30. The price of a free cocktail is the most expensive drink you have ever consumed because alcohol is their best employee. A smiling waitress approaches you and offers whiskey or a martini on the house. You think, what generous guys, they value me as a client. How we were fooled. Even minimal intoxication instantly hits the prefrontal cortex of the brain, the very zone responsible for critical thinking, risk assessment, and long-term planning. Your internal alarm shuts down. You become a daring, fearless, and incredibly stupid investor. A free whiskey, whose cost is a miserable $10, will cost you 500 lost bets that you will regret all the next morning. They get the guards of your bank drunk to quietly carry out the safe. Cheers to your health, sponsor. Fact 31. Rectangular pieces of plastic tightly turn off the self-preservation instinct of the elite on VIP bets. When the game moves to serious amounts, the round chips suddenly disappear. Instead, you're given so-called plaques, heavy, solid rectangular plates. They look incredibly cool, like gold bars or artifacts from a spy movie. You feel like a mafia boss sliding this piece of plastic onto red. But the psychological trick here is terrifying in its effectiveness. The shape of the plaque firmly cuts off the brain's understanding that you just bet the cost of a one-bedroom apartment. We do not associate these giant dominoes with real labor, taxes, and sweat. We play an elite constructor set for adults while our accounts turn to dust. If Pinocchio were a gambler, these plates would become his favorite toy in the land of fools. Elitism as a form of anesthesia. Fact 32. Elevations for rich players press on your ego with the grace of a steamroller, using VIP showcases as weapons of mass destruction. Zones for high rollers are never hidden behind blank walls. They're always placed in the center of the hall, but slightly raised above the main floor level, fenced off by velvet ropes. This is done not for the comfort of the rich, but for the humiliation of everyone else. When an ordinary person plays small stakes and sees above him these kings of life being served champagne, the most ancient and destructive feeling awakens in him: vanity. We subconsciously start raising our bets, risking money we do not have, simply to prove to ourselves that we are no worse, that we deserve to be up there. We are caught on the hook of class envy, forced to pay for a ticket to a fake elite. You are buying the right to sit behind a velvet cord at the cost of your future. Fact 33. Cash at the register is guarded more strictly than the country's gold reserve, using the inflexible law of chip retention. Let us imagine the incredible: you hit the jackpot and made it to the cashier. You ask them to give you your mountain of money in cash. And here the circus begins. Managers will smile, shake your hand, offer to arrange a bank transfer, write a beautiful check, or simply persuade you to leave the money on the club's deposit. Anything at all, just not live bills. They know a fundamental law of psychology. If the chips remain in your pocket or the money hangs on the virtual balance of the club card, the probability of your return to this building in the next month is 99%. The cashier will never give you a stack of cash without resistance, because live money smells like freedom, while plastic and checks smell like their imminent return home. They do not let you go. They just give you a long leash. We have reached the finale of this plunge into the abyss of human gullibility. We laughed at medieval peasants who bought indulgences for the forgiveness of sins, but every weekend we carry our resources to the shining temples of neon, buying an indulgence from boredom. This industry is a masterpiece of social engineering, where the best minds of the planet, brilliant mathematicians, architects, and psychologists, work only for one goal: to make us part with the fruits of our labor with a smile on our faces. We are not players. We are consumables, fuel in this endless engine of someone else's enrichment. If you think you can outsmart a system that has been studying your weaknesses for decades, you are just another battery asking to be plugged into the matrix. Take off your rose-colored glasses, you will not need them anymore. And if after this you still feel an itch in your palms, well, natural selection works flawlessly. Write your 34th fact in the comments if you have ever been scammed in this neon circus. Subscribe before your brain is pawned. Curtain.